Today we're going to talk about physiological barriers, individual personal discomfort, ill health, poor eyesight, and hearing difficulties. Today we're just going to focus on the sight portion of that. You try learning what your employee trainer is presenting you with, bombarded by bright lights, glaring backlit screens, fancy text, crowded spaces, an almost impossible learning environment for someone who is visually impaired. Now the real test begins. Aching eyes, piercing headaches, repeated apologies for bumping into people, and so on. Physiological barriers, specifically visual impairments, will affect your choice of paper reading materials, on-screen training materials, and your own hands-on activities. Physiological is the state of the human body and mind. Physiological barriers of communication occur due to physical conditions of the sender or receiver, which might be even physical disabilities, including sensory dysfunctions and other physical dysfunctions. Visual barriers written on-screen text like font, the size, the color, and the layout of the screen. Overdressing your training materials with fancy fonts, multiple colors, scattered layout distractions from the message you were trying to send your employee. Here is one of my difficult ones. This was a class that I've taken that was very hard to read for me. There is about 13 different colors, 3 different font sizes, and 4 different text sizes just on this page alone. Very distracting, very hard to read. Here, the right way to present written and on-screen communication is the font size is professional. The text color consistent only to emphasize important messages. Text size consistent and legible. Layout very easy to follow and read. Communication barriers occur with hands-on training and visually impaired. Be aware of visual impairments when you're handing somebody an item. Example, it doesn't work well to someone hand something to somebody on their blind side, like my left side. I will never see it. It's sometimes embarrassing. And a good tip is keeping walkways in the work area clean. Example, someone having to focus on not tripping over debris is like you're missing something that you're trying to emphasize of importance to. Maintain well lit but not too bright a work area. Example, a dimly lit area or over brightened training area can impede someone seeing and training being, well, diminished a little bit. What to do when creating training material? Keep your audience in mind. Put yourself in the trainee's shoes. Have someone proofread your training materials and inspect your training areas to identify communication barriers. Redesign your training materials and work areas to overcome barriers of defined. U-Haul has got great training materials that I've taken personally. Very professional, very clean cut, and very simple on the eyes. Physiological communication varies from person to person, but an important factor when training your employees, never assume one size fits all. Customize your training materials to fit your employees' communication abilities. In closing, avoiding communication barriers for the visually impaired will make it for a more difficult and efficient training process.